Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'm going to respond to Odell Beckham Jr. calling me out today on Twitter.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why the LeBron-Kyrie feud is making Kyrie look terrible. Speak for yourself starts now.
What are you talking about?
Oh, it's just a bad
David
look.
Griffin's on
Your
Kyrie's
tie is
side.
a good look. That's a bad look.
All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by a couple of Super Bowl champs, Mark Schlereth and Eric Davis. Let's start with Colin Kaepernick, who was passed over yet again by another team looking for a quarterback this weekend when Jay Cutler signed with the Miami Dolphins instead of the activist quarterback. Now social justice groups are organizing a rally for Kaepernick outside of NFL headquarters, and the event was announced by Spike Lee on Twitter this morning. As you see there, whoever's organizing this event doesn't even know how to spell Kaepernick's name. Colin, should the NFL be concerned about this rally?
No. Remember Occupy Wall Street? That lasted like a year. You seen Dow Jones numbers lately? It's doing just fine. Boycotts don't really work over time because people have separate agendas and most people have jobs. And people have strong feelings about things, but in today's world, they shift from week to week. There's another cause, there's another agenda. And I also think this gives the owners an out. And the owners can say, honestly, this is my backup quarterback. They're holding rallies for, I think if you're an owner and you're seeking an out, in Miami, the Castro shirt was an out. This is an out.
I would be concerned because, you know, the NFL isn't the Dow Jones. It's a business that somewhat relies on public perception. And this is a long game that's being executed. Again, I've been saying forever, there is a war on football. I think the left-wing side of the media, the progressive side of that political movement realizes the importance of football in the American consciousness and is using Colin Kaepernick as a Trojan horse to change the way football is discussed. They're racializing the discussion of football in a way that's really exploitive, really sensational, and really unhealthy, and it's not gonna stop. When this thing started last September, I was like, wow, this thing has long legs. And with now him out of the league, he's more of a talking point. We're talking about a guy that's not in the league, is a backup quarterback, won one game last year, and we can't escape the conversation. That's not good for the NFL.
And that's why they are concerned about it. So is 345 concerned about it? Yes, because they are very reactionary in how the league is viewed. They pay attention to it. The perception of the league, they pay attention to it. They will change things and discuss things because of what's happening in the media. So they definitely pay attention to it. It does have legs. He started a dialogue that is not going to go away. This rally is about part of that. I don't think this is just about Colin Kaepernick.
It's about police brutality.
But it's still, people are still talking about the issue that he wanted them to talk about.
Are they?
From that aspect,
No.
Yes.
With him?
Yes, I think there are still people that are starting to pay more attention to that than the aspect of him not standing for the flag. And that's what he wanted to happen in the first place. Now, so do they care? Yes. Should they? No. I'm back with Cap. I'm sorry. I'm back with Colin on that one. No, you don't have to because the season's going to start. People are going to start to pay attention to the football. They're going to start to pay attention to what their team's doing, the fantasy, all of those aspects of it. It's going to get back to football.
Here's, you know what? We get so enamored. And we look at the league and the $12 billion, and we look at Roger Goodell, and we look at these owners, and we're like, man, they're brilliant. $12 billion a year. They are selling crack to crack addicts. That's not that hard, right? I mean, we're all addicted to the National Football League. I'm addicted to it. And when the games start, ultimately, all the other issues, I'm like, hey, you know, those issues are great, you know, yeah, stand up for what you believe in.
It always does,
When are the
man.
games coming on? What time do my Broncos play?
It's sad but true. It always does.
But again,
people get back into the
you're talking
games.
about football fans, legitimate football fans. That's not who's controlling this conversation.
But how much control do they have? Football fans are ultimately consumers. If I own a grocery store, the power is to the people who shop at my store, not the voices on social media. Eventually, this league is formidable when fans say, I don't care about the voices, I'm going to go buy DirecTV. They're the consumers.
Listen.
A lot of voices out there.
It's not just, there's a group out there called the worldwide leader in sports, ESPN. Let's deal with the elephant in the room. They're all in on this Kaepernick thing. You got to be kidding yourself.
But they're also going to be all in on the fact that games are going on and they're on the NFL. That's the issue.
They just extended their pregame show, I think I was told, like to 3 hours.
Got it.
So their football coverage is all extended.
I got it. And we're going to be forced to talk about Kaepernick rather than football.
I don't think once the games are, I'll lead my show with him. I think it's August.
You're talking about an individual thing. Again, I'm just telling you, most people thought Kaepernick would already be gone and dead as an issue. And here he is today, bigger than ever. That's wishful thinking. He's not going anywhere. This thing is orchestrated. This is not some accident that the left wing means.
He may not be going anywhere. But do you think the ratings are going to change? Do you think all of a sudden people are going to stop watching the National Football League and they're going to stop making $12 billion a year?
Listen, I don't operate out of any type of arrogance. Look, they're used to, you think anyone's going to stop watching CNN? You think anyone's going to stop buying McDonald's? You think it happens over time. And I'm getting this attack on football has been going on for years, the CTE discussion. Now you add in the Kaepernick thing and making this some kind of big racial play. If you just keep piling on these negative narratives that are being told out of context, told inappropriate, eventually it takes an impact.
Well, it hasn't yet, and there are always negative things coming at the league, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think.
Baseball used to be king.
Baseball doesn't work on TV. That's the problem. It's too slow. It doesn't work in bites.
But baseball's interesting. Baseball has lost social currency. It's never made more money. Yeah. And you're right. It has gone from a social water cooler topic I talked baseball 30 years ago at the water cooler. I don't talk it on my syndicated show now. It makes more money than ever. There is an audience.
It doesn't do higher TV ratings.
No, but that's not. But it does tremendous.
You think their television networks are happy with where baseball is?
No, but the regionals are
flush with cash.
They're flush.
And they've become a regional sport, and they're making money like they've never made it before.
Welcome back, Mark Schlereth, Eric Davis. They're here. Let's move to Odell Beckham Jr. Interesting topic. You just saw Whitlock took it to Odell on the show last week, and apparently the receiver took notice. Today, Odell replied to somebody on Twitter who called out Whitlock for criticizing the receiver, saying, quote, "Love it." Should be noted, the person Odell retweeted used a racial slur against Whitlock. Jason, what's your reaction there?
I don't have much of a reaction. If I were Odell Beckham Jr., and I had watched someone or heard that someone on television had gone over the reasons why I was overhyped and overrated, if I had heard that I was in some push to get a contract and there's someone on TV saying don't do it, I'd retweet any criticism of that person, and I think it's good motivation. I don't have a problem with Odell retweeting this.
You know, it's funny about athletes that react. I used to see it as a weakness. Like, I can't believe LeBron's reacting, but in the end, I think it extends their brand and gets them to be discussed. I think their agents and their shoe companies like them reacting because we show 5 minutes of highlights on TV. And I really think the thing you don't want to be if you're a star athlete is irrelevant. And I think Odell has become increasingly as relevant as any football player in America not named Brady. We talk about this guy constantly. I mean, Russell Wilson's nice. This guy's a topic on our show twice a week.
That's our mistake.
But he is. He's relevant, right?
Yeah, that he is. And, you know, when I saw this, you know, my reaction, I was asked, what's my reaction to this? And I said, unfortunately, expect it. And the reason I say that, it's a lot along the lines of what you were just talking about. When I was playing, the only way you had an opportunity to say something to whatever someone sitting behind the desk was saying to you was when they showed up in Santa Clara to interview you for the game that weekend. Then I could say, you know what, you so-and-so, what you said in that moment about me, you don't know what you're talking about. Now, guess what? Every athlete has a microphone. You can't, behind the desk, you no longer have the microphone last. Everyone has the microphone.
And every fan has access to you.
Yeah, so you can do the LeBron thing in a passive-aggressive way, say, I love it. I love it. What is it? Do I love the fact that a fan took this much time to put something together? Do I love what it is you said? I can voice my opinion about things and just try to get back at you in one way or the other. Now, what I don't like about it, Well, you said it doesn't bother you. Odell's smarter than that. If you want to react, okay, react. But don't react to the one where someone's disrespecting the black man. Don't react to the one and perpetuate that. It may not bother you. I know this kid. That bothers me that he would use that one.
This guy's the only guy that put that video out.
So no. But still, what I'm saying is that Odell, there are a lot of things that you can react to. He didn't have to react to that. When you see a black man being disrespected like that. That's my issue. Having a voice and you want it when it's personal, and that's what this is. This isn't about my ball. It's personal. And whenever an athlete, you take a personal dig at someone, they're going to react.
I would disagree. I think he's a great player. Is he the best receiver in football? No, he's not. He's a great player. The thing I don't understand about the receiver position in general is at what point did they overvalue themselves? They are a dependent position. If 10 other guys don't do their job on a football field, Odell Beckham Jr. can't amount to squat. That's what drives me crazy. Oh, by the way, take a boat trip.
But they didn't overvalue themselves. That's the market rate. That's what the market has done.
I'd like to buy him what he's worth for what he's worth and sell him for what he thinks he's worth. Because listen. That's the receiver position.
But he has that value for that team because they have created that for him.
There's no question that he has a ton of value, and there's no question that he's a good player. There's also no question that when you play wide receiver, you're a dependent player on everybody else doing their job.
But they're viewed largely as the NBA players of the NFL. As the closer you are to the sideline, you're viewed more athletically. And if you talk about the great athletes in this league, they usually sit right next to that hash mark. And the center and the middle linebacker are, you were a corner.
Well, you go from bike lane to, it's pedestrian, bike lane, and then you get out on the Autobahn. It's different. Things happen faster.
So I think those players just simply draw more attention because they're often, by the way, in far more spectacular plays.
Well, Colin loves to talk about he's going to build a team from the inside, but he's going to build his show around the outside.
Ain't that
you picked up on that after all these years.
I had Emmanuel Sanders the other day, a receiver for the Denver Broncos, a very good receiver, talked about how winning the Super Bowl is his only goal. That and getting 1,200 to 1,300 yards while you're doing it, right? I mean, that's the way the receivers think. Like, I'd love to win every game as long as I get mine.
We got to go to Miami.
That's where they are.
Where Jay Cutler was introduced as a member of the Dolphins yesterday. The quarterback was asked about what led to his decision to come out of retirement, and his answer was classic Jay Cutler.
Like you said, the last 4 months I've been in a different mode, different mindset, getting ready for the Fox deal. And it was really, pretty good with where I was in my life. I was around the kids a lot and felt pretty content. So weighed back and forth on this. I'd probably say my wife, Kristen, probably talked me into it more than anybody else could. Well, the good thing is I play quarterback, so I don't really have to be in that great of cardiovascular shape. But I'll be fine. Adam knows kind of what I've been up to, so we'll figure it out along the way.
All right, Cowherd, should Cutler's new teammates be concerned with his first impression?
No, this is who he is. Listen, all these quarterbacks I can describe in a word. Rodgers can be aloof, Cam's emotional, Brady's reserved, Russell Wilson's optimistic, Luck's kind of nerdy, he's kind of detached. That's why, by the way, nobody picked him up initially and he ended up on TV. This is who Jay is. Jay has been kind of a detached player. By the way, let me defend him on the wife thing. I'm at this company because my wife 3 years ago said, I think you need a new adventure. So wives, you don't know this, but you should because you'd be a terrific husband. Wives often dictate huge decisions. You have been saying Giselle.
Absolutely.
So that didn't bother me at all.
Let me translate what your wife told you, though. She said, I will be happier in Los Angeles, Colin. Get me the hell out of Bristol, Connecticut. That's what she said. And listen, you're 100% right. Cutler's right on brand. And so if you were concerned about Cutler before they signed him, you should be concerned after the press conference because that is who he is. He's a low-energy guy. He's not that passionate about football. He's talented, but he's just not that passionate.
He is, he's Eeyore. Don't pay any attention to me. Nobody ever does. Eeyore. I'm Jay Cutler. That's who he is. That's who you got. Adam Gase knows that about him. I will tell you this now. You talk in NFL circles, retired guys, current guys, he's probably the least respected guy of his generation, the ultimate tease, because his talent is immense.
Yeah.
I mean, immense.
Huge arm.
Huge arm, football acumen, all those things. He makes bad decisions because he plays hero ball. Like, I can fit it anywhere. 4 guys on defense, sitting right there. I'll throw it through all 4 of them, get it to my receiver.
Joe Namath played a little hero ball, too.
Well,
different era,
yeah. But I think you have to look at, you know what you got with Jay Cutler. You knew this going in that he was going to say that. You know, my coach used to say all the time, for a smart guy, you sure are dumb. When it comes to, press conferences, you sure are dumb, but he has football acumen, and he has an unbelievable skill set to play quarterback from a traditional style, from a traditional offensive perspective. But that's who he is. That's what he is.
And he better play good football. If I'm a teammate, am I worried? No, because you don't have a choice. Teammates, it doesn't matter who they bring in. Johnny Manziel, Colin Kaepernick, Jay Cutler, it doesn't matter. If I'm in the front office, I would be concerned. I would be worried. If he's saying, I said it the other day, I was surprised that he got signed, not necessarily by this team, but he got signed before Cap, because one guy says he wants to play. This is a guy who didn't want to play. He just came in and said, I didn't want to play. This looks like a money grab to me.
He wasn't a money grab.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. It looks like a money grab, and what happens with a money grab, you know this can happen in the locker room. When you see it from a player that doesn't seem to be prepared, doesn't play up to those expectations, that starts to become a cancer to the other guys. That I've been putting in my work. I'm over here trying to fight. We're trying to get to another level, and this dude who said he didn't want to play, you guys upstairs signed him. When I'm asking for money, I want more money. That right there, if I'm in the front, I'm just saying, if I'm the front office, I'm concerned about those comments.
Got it. But I think everybody in that Dolphins organization, in the locker room to the front office, no, this is a mercenary. This is a sellsword, as they would say on Game of Thrones. And everybody knows Cutler's here because Tannehill got hurt. He's not going to be that enthusiastic. He's not going to be all in. He's going to play the quarterback to us.
You could have brought
Hopefully Tannehill comes back.
You could have brought in someone that was all in. You could have.
Who doesn't have his arm talent.
You could have played with Matt Moore, a guy that I already know. I'm just telling you.
Doesn't have his arm talent and doesn't know the system as well.
You will fight for your guys that you know that are there with you, as opposed to giving this money to someone who doesn't care about my colors.
If he comes in and plays like he played
good.
the year in Chicago under Adam Gase, it's going to be a great move.
Yes.
If he mopes around, feels sorry for himself, doesn't show up, then you know what? It's a recipe for disaster, and you might as well just tank your season.
Guys, it's like it's August 8th. You're running. I mean, you can say what you want, but he's not a bad option for August 8th.
I agree.
Especially, I mean, listen. Beggars can't be choosers.
I'm not saying he's a bad option. I sat here and I said he knows the offense and all these things. You asked me would I be concerned about these comments? Yes, because that could cause a cancer in the locker room if he doesn't perform.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're joined now by Fox NBA analyst Jim Jackson and the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. It's time for Who's the Best, presented by America's Best Contacts and Eyeglasses. Let's move to LeBron James, who's had a rough couple of weeks since reports of Kyrie Irving's trade request surfaced. Now former Cavs general manager David Griffin appears to be taking Kyrie's side.
I don't think this is youth and ignorance. This is a guy who handled this situation exactly like he was supposed to. He went to Dan Gilbert privately, told him that he thought he would be happier somewhere else. The absolute worst thing this guy could have done was pretend to be all in and sink the ship from within. Most guys don't have the courage to do what he did. So that's not youth and ignorance. That's a little bit more courage than people give him credit for.
All right, LeBron appeared to be responding to Griffin and Kyrie, tweeting, quote, "Never let another ride your wave." Cowherd, who looks worse here, LeBron or Kyrie?
Well, I enjoy body surfing, so I really... you know, I've said before, there's so few transformative players. In my life watching the NBA, there's 20. When you get connected to one, Magic, Duncan, LeBron, Bird, generally don't leave. Now, not all great players are great to play with. I think Kobe could wear you out. But I would make an argument that Magic and LeBron have been about as easy and elevating of your stats as I'm the star as any star we've ever had. And I just don't think when you get this transformative guy and he shares, and your numbers, by the way, with Kyrie, your efficiency numbers are better with him than without him, why would you leave that?
I don't like analogizing LeBron to Magic Johnson. And again, I think LeBron's a better player, but I'm a Magic Johnson guy. Magic Johnson played for one organization. LeBron has jumped from Cleveland to Miami and back to Cleveland. And wherever LeBron has been, there has been discord.
Yes.
Mike Brown, Dan Gilbert, Pat Riley, early on with Eric Spoelstra. Now he's back and there's more discord, disharmony. David Griffin appears to be, to me, taking Kyrie's side. David Griffin had an opportunity to blame Dan Gilbert for not giving him a contract. He seems to me to be pointing the finger more towards LeBron James. So, look, man, there's some great things to playing with LeBron, and there's some really bad things to playing with LeBron. And David Griffin appears to be saying that Kyrie's handled this wonderfully. He's been involved at the ground floor level. I'm going to side with David Griffin.
If you look at LeBron, guys, he's the leader of the team. In times of crisis, leaders step up. Last year, Cowboys, Tony Romo stepped up, was a leader even though he was behind Dak. I think in times of crisis, LeBron should be stepping up, say, hey, Kyrie, I know we've been through a lot. Let's sit down and hash this out. There was no GM in Cleveland. Griffin was gone when Kyrie made this request. I just feel like kind of the blame goes to LeBron. He should just step up and say, hey, man, I'm the second best player of all time. Why can't we sit down and talk this out?
Well, it's always going to be pressure on a guy like LeBron because, like you talked about, transformative players, they don't come around. So expectation levels are going to be extremely higher. I read Steve Jobs' book, okay, and it was all about he drove people crazy. Yeah. He was tough to deal with. But in retrospect, a lot of people said when I was at Apple under Steve Jobs, I did my best work. Yeah. Because he demanded the best. Whether you liked it all the time, you didn't. Sometimes you probably couldn't stand him. But you did your best work. It's no different here. LeBron's demands are going to be a lot higher because his standard is a lot higher. Sure. So a young player like a Kyrie Irving that still believes he has so much to prove independently, for him it's just like a father-son. The son is going to buck eventually. I don't care. I got a son. That's what's happening here.
Show leadership.
But he is showing leadership. But understand something. It's different than going with Dwayne Wade, who established himself before. He didn't really have a lot to prove. Kyrie, in his mind, still feels, right, wrong, or indifferent, that he has a lot to prove. And now how he went and took it to Dan Gilbert, he went right to the owner. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Whether you agree with it or not, that's something he chose to do. But it's always going to be pressure on LeBron James because of who he is.
I think we'll look back at this trade based on the results of where Kyrie goes. I'll give you an example. When George Clooney left ER, that's courageous because he succeeded. Mm-hmm. When Shelley Long left Cheers, that was stupid because she disappeared. If Kyrie ends up with the Suns, you're going to be like, boy, that's ignorant. If he ends up with Boston, you're going to be like, boy, that was courageous. This could be results-based in about a year.
You make an excellent point, and I like those analogies. Jim, the thing I would say about your Steve Jobs analogy, though, is Steve Jobs was the owner and led from the ownership chair.
LeBron owner.
No, Dan Gilbert owned the team.
LeBron
Mickey
is the
Arison
owner.
owned the team. And so until he's an owner, he should maybe reevaluate his leadership strategy and model, LeBron James.
You mean the conversation and how he comes across.
Yeah.
LeBron can be in a way where he does at times throw his teammates under the bus. He may not feel like he's doing it, but as a teammate, I know Tristan Thompson and those guys feel like sometimes, LeBron, back up a little bit. You need to take some responsibility. That's part of his growth, and I think his next growth in regards to being that kind of leader, where he steps up and accepts that responsibility.
Jim, can I go back to his father-son point real quick? Can you imagine a father subtweeting his son with a wave on social media?
Some fathers do it, but some fathers do it because that's the only way they can communicate with their child.
By the way, Magic got coaches fired. Michael punched the teammate. LeBron's, to your point, he's difficult. Troy Aikman, go watch those old NFL films, was barking at guys.
No. Listen, I think some of that is good. But with LeBron, it always ends in divorce. No, seriously. I mean, he left Cleveland, he left Miami, and all things seem to be pointing he's going to leave Cleveland again. That's not – Michael punched a teammate without leaving Chicago. Magic got Paul Westhead fired and worked with Pat Riley. You know, eventually they made it work. LeBron, I just don't see it happening anywhere. And again, love the guy to death, tremendous, you know, one of my favorite athletes of all time. but there's some flaws.
Maybe
there.
he is perfect for LA. He gets divorced a lot.
All right, welcome back to the show. Jim Jackson and Anthony Herron still here. Let's move to Johnny Manziel. The Heisman winner is still hoping to make an NFL comeback, but he just sat for an interview with our friend Clay Travis and offered some ideas of what he'd do if his comeback doesn't work out.
I'd do something involved with sports. I can't get away from it. So, I've had to ask myself that a little bit as of late over the past year, but at the same time, I'd want to be involved in sports in some way, whether it's coaching, whether it's doing something like that. So I think that'd be my route.
All right, Cowherd, is Manziel crazy for thinking he could be a college coach?
No, I mean, what the qualifications for a college coach begin with sainthood? Bobby Petrino? I mean, people make mistakes. Why can't coaches and teachers make mistakes? I mean, what are the qualifications? I've said this about Michael Vick. You can't tell me there's not value Michael Vick to young NFL players who have made mistakes. Johnny Manziel butchered a great opportunity. That's great. Have you ever had a marriage? Oh, I've had a marriage counselor. They were divorced.
Have you seen any signs of maturity from Johnny Manziel?
Well, he's a kid. I'm saying eventually he could coach. He's not going to be Woody Hayes in an hour, but listen, the qualifications for football coach, it's peaks and valleys.
If you're a head coach, if you're your guy, Nick Saban, or Jim Harbaugh's your guy. You think Jim Harbaugh is like, the GA I really want is Johnny Manziel. I want to bring him to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and let him interact.
He could help in recruiting.
We have a lot in recruiting, and honestly, if they're at least willing to sit down with Johnny Manziel, there is something you can tell in an interview just to get a sense for it. Because I hope he's not done at least attempting to play football. Because right now, I knew when he came out, the reason that Johnny Manziel was not going to succeed as a quarterback was because he's immature. If he's actually grown up, then try to keep playing ball. He's still young. So why give that part of his life up yet? But at a certain point, for whatever the second career may be, he's young enough where he doesn't know what else he's good at anyway. In his mind, he's good at football, so teach football to somebody.
But it comes back to trust. Can I trust you if I put you in this situation to do and say the right things, whether it's on the collegiate level especially or the pro level? Why would I bring you in if what do you have to offer me? I mean, and that's the key. Talent, yes, he has it. Does he have intellect? Yes. Is he immature? Yes, that's part of it. But if I'm going to hire you to be on my staff, I have to trust that you're going to do the right thing when I don't know where you're at. See, that's the thing. When I got you in the building, you're probably pretty good. But outside of the building, because of your track record.
On a college campus.
It's
hard enough
can I trust you to do it? And that's the thing about it. Now, will it happen down the line? Maybe. Is football out of his system? That's another question. Because if it's not out of his system, is he really going to give his all to coaching? And those are the things that you got to figure out.
Even on a college staff, there's a lot of different personalities. There's the kind of quiet, lousy recruiter, good with details. There's Alabama's got a couple guys in their staff. They recruit, and that's about it, and you wouldn't trust them near the keys to your football program.
And again, you don't want Johnny Manziel near the keys to your recruiting. Did you hear about what happened in Louisville with Rick Pitino and the strippers and the hookers? That's the kind of recruiting Johnny Manziel would be capable of doing.
We don't. All I'm going to say is this. You recruit 18-year-olds. I think some 18-year-olds think he's cool. I do.
That's the standard you want. You know what? Hire him as a nanny for your kids. That's the standard you want.
I'm just trying to get
your kids would think he's cool.
I got a kid on the way. He can't babysit my baby when it
there
comes.
There you go. But he can be your college coach.
But can Johnny Manziel be a college coach? Johnny, let me see you for a few months just breaking down film. Let me see you for a few months hitting the road recruiting. Let me see you for a few months. Can you actually do some of the grunt work? If you can, then maybe you can actually be a full-time coach.
He's shown no signs, so why should he get that opportunity? There's some desperate kids.
People got to work. You don't want people to work, Jason.
Yes, I do.
Let that man work.
Not Manziel.